There was a time in my life when I would sit for hours, staring at my phone, heart pounding with every vibration, hoping, just hoping, that maybe this time it would be a message from them. I would check and recheck my notifications, convincing myself that maybe I missed something. Maybe I was just being impatient. I remember the ache in my chest, the way my hands trembled as I typed out messages, pouring my heart out, only to be met with silence or half-hearted replies. I begged for effort, for a sign that I mattered, for love that didn't leave me feeling empty and small. I would lie awake at night replaying every conversation, wondering what I did wrong, why I wasn't enough. The pain of feeling invisible, of loving someone who couldn't love me back the way I needed, was almost unbearable. But then, something inside me shifted. I realized that begging for love was only breaking me further, and that I deserved so much more than crumbs of affection. The moment I stopped pleading for someone else to fill the emptiness, and instead turned inward, everything began to change. I started to see my own worth, to find comfort in my own company, and to believe that I was enough, just as I am. I stopped begging for love, and started praying for peace. I began to seek the quiet moments, the gentle stillness within myself, and slowly, I found a sense of calm I never thought possible. And in that peace, I finally found the love I had been searching for all along. Let me tell you what happened. I wanted them to choose me. Every day, I just wanted to be seen, heard, held, but I kept coming up empty. So I tried harder. I over-explained. I apologized for things that weren't my fault. I accepted silence as love. I made excuses for behavior that was slowly breaking me. And in the process, I forgot who I was. I was begging for scraps of affection, when God had a whole table prepared for me. One day, I hit a wall, the kind of emotional exhaustion that can't be explained, only felt. I remember sitting alone, asking, why am I fighting for someone who won't even meet me halfway? And I heard a whisper deep in my spirit, you are not hard to love. You're just asking the wrong person for it. That night, instead of begging for their attention, I prayed. And not a prayer to bring them back, but a prayer for peace, for healing, for strength to finally let go. Something shifted in me. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was holy. It was as if a gentle breeze had moved through my soul, quiet and almost imperceptible, yet undeniably real. I felt a softening inside, a loosening of the tight knots I'd carried for so long. There was no sudden revelation, no fireworks, just a subtle, sacred hush that settled over my heart. My thoughts slowed, and for the first time in ages, I noticed the simple beauty of the morning light, the warmth on my skin, the steady rhythm of my breath. I realized I didn't have to fight or beg anymore. A sense of peace, fragile but profound, began to take root. In that quiet moment, I knew something essential had changed. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one marked not by desperation, but by acceptance and grace. You know, I started to crave silence more than drama. I started choosing stillness over chaos. I stopped rereading old messages, hoping they meant something different. Instead, I started reading God's Word. And honestly, it began to rewrite how I saw myself. Healing wasn't instant. In fact, it was a slow, uneven journey, one that often felt like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. There were mornings when I woke up with a heavy heart, the ache of missing them still fresh, as if no time had passed at all. Some days, the memories would flood in unexpectedly, and I'd find myself lost in thought, replaying old conversations, wondering what I could have done differently. At night, the silence sometimes felt unbearable, and I would cry quietly, letting the tears wash over me, hoping they would carry away some of the pain. But gradually, almost imperceptibly, something began to shift. The moments of peace, however brief, started to grow. I noticed the gentle warmth of sunlight on my face, the comfort of a deep breath, the small joys that had once been drowned out by sorrow. Over time, peace became louder than the pain. It didn't erase the hurt, but it gave me hope that healing was possible, even if it came slowly, one day at a time. I stopped begging for texts and started listening for truth. I stopped needing closure and started trusting God's protection. I stopped waiting for an apology and gave myself permission to move on. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was growing, becoming someone I actually liked. You know, there's a quiet kind of freedom that comes when you stop chasing people and start chasing God. Peace doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes it's just the strength to not look back. Sometimes it's waking up and realizing you're not triggered by their name anymore. Sometimes it's falling in love with your own company, and honestly, it's smiling without needing permission. If you're still begging for love that hurts, if you're still waiting to be chosen, please, just hear me for a second. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to keep breaking yourself to be enough for someone else. There comes a moment when you realize, sometimes painfully, that you've been begging for something that was never truly meant for you. You hold on, hoping, pleading, thinking maybe if you just try a little harder, love will finally stay. But the truth is, some things are not ours to keep, no matter how much we want them. Instead of exhausting your heart chasing after what was never destined for you, turn your focus inward. Start praying for peace. Not just any peace, but the kind that settles deep in your bones, the kind that quiets the noise and soothes the ache. Real peace doesn't play hide and seek. It doesn't slip away in the night or leave you questioning your worth. It stays. It holds you gently, even when the world feels heavy. It heals the wounds you thought would never close. So let go of the begging. Let go of the longing for what was never yours. And instead, open your heart to the peace that's been waiting for you all along. There was a time when I thought love was something I had to chase, something I had to earn by giving away pieces of myself. I would sit alone, heart aching, wondering why I felt so empty, why I was always reaching out, hoping someone would reach back. But the more I begged for love, the more I lost sight of who I truly was. It was in those quiet moments when the world fell silent and I was left with only my thoughts that I realized what I was really searching for wasn't love from others, but peace within myself. I started to pray, not for someone to fill the void, but for the strength to find wholeness on my own. I prayed for clarity, for healing, for the courage to let go of the need for validation. And slowly, as I turned inward, I began to discover parts of myself I had long forgotten. I found resilience in my solitude, hope in my prayers, and a quiet joy in simply being present with myself. Through this journey, I found God, not as a distant figure, but as a gentle presence guiding me back to myself. I learned that I am enough, just as I am. I learned that peace is not something to be found in the arms of another, but in the stillness of my own heart. So yes, this transformation happened when I stopped begging for love and started praying for peace. I found myself. I found God. And that was enough. If this story spoke to your soul, drop a comment below with "I choose peace." You are not alone. We're healing together, one prayer at a time. Thanks for watching.